This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Auto insurance can all seem the same until it comes time to use it. So don't get stuck paying more for less coverage. Switch to USAA Auto Insurance and you could start saving money in no time. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
USAA. I've got Chris Weiher on the show today. He's going to talk to us all about video production for B2B businesses, how to use video on LinkedIn, getting great results from videos on YouTube, how to use video for social media, and the future of video. It's a really important topic for those thought leaders and influencers. I'm really happy to have him on and pick his brain. So Chris, welcome.
Thank you much, Chris. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. I know, briefly introduce yourself and we'll dive into the content and the questions.
Sure. So yeah, I've been running a video production company, Cleaver Creative, for 12 years now. And we have done a lot of animation work, and we do a lot of work for small, medium-sized business owners, helping them develop their own content and then packaging that up so it can be turned into more of a video strategy than just a single video, which has become an outdated mode of content creation. People used to think that they needed a video, and now you need a video a week or a video a day. So that's the direction that we've moved in. Yeah.
And one thing is talking about is starting it out is who should be making videos for their businesses, because now we have blogging, we've newsletters, we've got Twitter. Where does video play into a role of a B2B business?
Yeah. So sorry, there's a cat trying to eat my hand here. That's part of the show, right? The authenticity. Dude, come on. You got to get out of here. I'm sorry. So who should be making a video? I tend to let people know that it's not created for everybody. Not everyone's a great writer. Not everyone's going to be great on video. But I think it is worth trying. It's worth for everyone to try, particularly business owners, and especially those small to medium-sized business owners, because you as a business owner are your biggest asset. And you can only scale you through video. So it is a very important skill to learn. And then you get to decide how much you want to fold that into your marketing or your content creation. Maybe you only want to have one video a month. Maybe you only want to have one video every few months. But depending on your ability to do it, how much you enjoy it, it is probably the most powerful form of content that you can create. So I highly recommend that everyone try it and practice it and then decide what's the right recipe for you and your business.
Interesting. And so talk about what is the value of video for businesses today, like kind of the ROI, how much time, how much money you put into it. Just talk about that.
Sure. We've worked with clients who have made over $200,000 with their videos that they've made through LinkedIn. We've had clients that have done it for 6 months and a year and not gotten a sale. So it depends. It ranges widely, just like anything. It's not a magic bullet. It's not going to be something where it's like, oh, I put out 2 videos and I got my first client from that. Sometimes that can happen, but it's rare. It has to be a part of a longer term strategy to figure out how do you leverage that. And typically what I recommend people do is when they're trying to think about their investment or their time is to just simply write down 10 frequently asked questions that you get about your business and write down 10 questions that you don't get but you wish you got. And if you do that, you end up with 10 short pieces of content that you can then look at and go, oh, that's actually a nice piece that I could put out for my network and give them a little bit more background on how we work. What do we do? What's the point of our work? What's the reason behind our work? What's our mission? These types of things. And if you just start with that, you could knock out easily 10 or 20 answers to those questions in a couple of hours. And these are questions that you're really answering all the time at networking events. And when you're talking to people, now you've just taken the time to record it and you can put it out there and see what people say about it and see if people ask more questions or you can get a discussion started. So if you are actually taking the time to track the work that you're doing, the wins that are happening, and even sometimes the challenges that are happening with your work, this stuff is happening every single day. You just have to write it down and then make a point of it to sit down and record it once a month or once a week. So I would say as investment goes, once you get the hang of it, I would say it's probably one of the easier ways of capturing the stuff that you want to talk about anyway.
Interesting. And so the next question is, how is a B2B video different than B2C video, and how do they work?
Sure. So B2C is going to be more traditional marketing where you're going to create a commercial or a series of commercials and you're going to try and blast that out to a fairly wide audience to make a lot of sales. Obviously, B2B, you're having less sales that are typically a higher ticket item. And so therefore you have to make less sales, but you have to hit people with more information over a longer period of time. An example of this is one of our clients is an industrial engineering company. And so their services are pretty complex. They're talking about Lean and Six Sigma concepts. They're talking about strategies for management. They're talking about efficiencies across manufacturing, all these different things. It takes longer to get that audience, your network, educated as to the complexities of your business. So you need to have more messages and they have to sometimes be more in depth and honestly less entertaining. They're like, for the people who like it, they're going to sit there and watch the whole thing. But as opposed to B2C, that's going to be something selling like Cheerios or toys or whatever, things that we're going to buy for one time and then move on to the next thing.
Interesting. So now that we know the differences between B2B and B2C business videos, talking about creating effective B2B videos, how long should a B2B marketing video be? What should a B2B video marketing strategy include? And give some examples. What type of videos work best?
Sure. So yeah, I would start with those FAQs because that gives you a broad idea of just the typical things that people are asking you about your business and what you would like to be talking about. As far as the length goes, I typically tell people when you're just getting started, if you're going to be creating content for yourself, try and keep it within 1 to 3 minutes. But if you get going on a topic, don't censor yourself. Let yourself ramble a little bit. Give yourself permission to do it in this long, rambly way. And be a bit forgiving with yourself and put it out there and see what people say. Some people are just natural at video and just are able to get to the point and say what they want to say and wrap it up and be concise about it. Other people take a longer time to do it. As you're getting started, I don't see it to be a good advice to tell people to be, you got to keep it short. You got to keep it under 1 minute or less, because that just trips people up and they end up not being able to get to the point that they want to say very quickly. And it creates undue pressure on them to actually get their message across. As you create more, as you do it for a few months in a row, you will naturally get better at keeping things concise, at understanding the format of like having kind of a hook at the beginning, getting right to your point, and then having a call to action at the end. Like all these things happen over time as long as you keep practicing. But I don't typically try and tell people to keep it short to begin with. I have videos that we've put out on LinkedIn that are close to 8 minutes that people really, because it's teaching them something very in depth about what they're doing in their content creation. In general, though, if you want just a general rule of thumb, I typically say between 1 and 3 minutes is good. It all really depends on how much value are you providing. And generally, I heard a documentary filmmaker say, make the movie as long as it is good. So as long as you're creating good content, you can keep going. And if you can spare something or cut something out, then cut it out by all means. But I think the most important thing is just try some and see what style works for you.
Mm. And talking about platforms and distribution, where should B2B businesses post their videos? Should it be LinkedIn or YouTube or other social media platforms? And go ahead.
Yeah, definitely LinkedIn. LinkedIn is probably my number one recommendation. It's the place where we have grown the most because 5 years ago, video really wasn't a big thing on LinkedIn. So if you made videos on LinkedIn, you were going to get some notice. YouTube is also really good. YouTube Shorts especially still get a really great organic reach. And I think that's a great place to test things out as well. The challenge with LinkedIn is that it is your network. So you might put something out there and it falls flat and you're like, oh, I wish that had performed better than it did. The nice thing about YouTube is that it is going to a wider audience. And if you do get some good traction on a video there, you're going to see it immediately. You're going to see that short got, instead of 20 views, it got 200 views or 2,000 views. And then you can use that as your testing ground to say, okay, this clip performed well. I'm going to push this to LinkedIn. I'm going to push this to my other platforms as well. Or you can start to use that to decide, okay, let's take all of our best performing content and let's turn that into an ad campaign. Those would be my probably two top recommendations. I know people love TikTok. I'm not a big TikTok lover. I also tell people, like, everything works. It's just not everything works. Everything doesn't work for everybody. So if you get great traction on Facebook and LinkedIn, then use that, obviously. I'm sorry, Facebook and Instagram. It's not going to work for everybody. So just test things out, have fun, and don't get like too tied to, I have to put this over here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how does one optimize their B2B videos for SEO?
So there's tools that you can use for that. Uber Suggest is a really good free tool that I recommend to people. You can also just use the large language models, ChatGPT, and those types of things, and say, hey, here's my idea for a title. Can you optimize this for search? And just ask it to. You do want to have a catchy title. You do want to have a catchy hook to your videos, but I try and tell people not to get too tripped up in trying to hack that algorithm and go, oh, I got to have this catchy title and this amazing thumbnail, especially for B2B stuff, because if it comes across as too salesy, I think people tune out who are really serious business people. So the most important thing is that it's authentic to you and that it's communicating to your audience. And I usually recommend that for people when they're trying to come up with a title or they're trying to come up with what they want to say, is think about people in your network who are actually watching this stuff and how are they going to react to it, and make that content for them. Make it for the people who actually need it and who you actually know will be watching it. And that, to me, feels a bit more authentic than trying to get too into the algorithm game or the I want to get 8 million views kind of thing. You don't really need that on LinkedIn. You need 80 views, not 8 million.
Yeah. So in terms of production and budgeting, someone listening to this, if they want to get started or they wanted to up level their productions, what the cost range to produce a video, or do they need a team or equipment, or creating high quality videos on a budget?
Sure. Like that's the nicest part about today is, like, you and I are recording these podcasts from our home offices and it can go out to the world. You don't need a lot. There's not like a high barrier of entry to getting started. All you really need is your phone to get started. And I recommend people do that for their first video or first handful of videos. Take your phone out, hold it up, think of those 5 FAQs and answer them one at a time in 5 different clips, and then go back and look at it and see what you think about it. As you go forward, yes, you may want to add some more production value. You may want to add subtitles. There's free apps out there as well. We use Descript as one of our apps for adding subtitles, and it's fantastic. So the barrier entry, I would say, is pretty low. Like, you can start for free. We've done video packages for sales videos up to $60,000. So there's a wide range in between there. Then we have clients that are $500 a month. So it's a pretty wide range. And for that, we do a lot of coaching and helping them figure out what the topic should be and taking that footage and editing it. So there's quite a wide range there, but the nicest part is that you can just get started on your own.
Yeah. And to finally conclude, talk about the trends and future of B2B video marketing. Like, what are the latest trends and how will Gen AI impact? What's the future and how can businesses prepare for the future?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a really, I'm sure it's a fascinating time to be making content. AI text to video is growing rapidly. It's changing rapidly. What started out last year is a couple different AI text to video generators has now turned into 10, 20, something like that. And they're all going to be getting better. And I don't know if you've used HeyGen, the app, before, but it's a way to clone yourself through video. And I did that last year and made a couple of videos of it just to show what it could do. And everyone that I showed it to didn't realize that it wasn't really me. They're like, oh, you seem a little low energy, you seem a little flat, but that's okay. I was like, yeah, but that wasn't actually me. And it took a minute for people to go, what are you talking about? Yeah. Text to video cloning is here already. It's going to get weirder, basically. I mean, things are going to continue to get weirder. There's going to be more content that is essentially going to be made by people that don't exist. So that there is this other opportunity, right? Because if you are a real person, you can continue to make real content, which can separate you from the huge waterfall avalanche of AI content that is already coming our way. So I highly recommend creating organic, real content because there is going to be more stuff flooding our feeds. And it is going to continue to be harder to tell what is real and what is not. It's strange. It's fun. It's interesting. I tell my whole team that we want to put one piece of AI generated B-roll into all of our content just so that we continue to experiment and push and see what can we make, what creative thing can we do, what can we do with this technology, as well as just stay on top of how quickly it's changing because it's changing pretty darn quick.
Yeah. How can people find out more about you and learn from you and connect with you?
Sure. LinkedIn is my favorite place to go. So they can just search for my name there at Chris, CHRIS, Weiher, WEIHER, Weiher. You can search for me there, or they can go to our website, cleavercreates.com. It's awesome.
Excellent. Thanks so much for an engaging podcast and for coming on and giving your expertise, and keep up the great work.
Thanks much, Chris. It was a pleasure talking to you.